My new moves are coming together nicely. Just a bit more practice and I'll call it a day. And this spot, it's perfect for rehearsal. So quiet and empty. What is that? No good. I'm trapped here. Is it my fate to die like this? It's such a pity to be caught so unprepared. I'd have practiced combat as well as dance.
Hurry! You must get to safety now!
Who said that?
Oh, thank goodness. You can hear what I'm saying, can't you? Follow the sound of my voice. You can hide in here. There's a door to your right. Now go! Hurry!
I'm coming.
Is the northern fortress that frightening?
Yep. My ancestors designed it that way. Didn't want people to go poking around. The locals won't get near the place. They say ghosts wander the ruins. A haunted castle. Lately, some have heard a young woman's voice calling out from inside. Relax! That's just the local lore.
Then why did you make it sound so real?
Sorry. I shouldn't be talking. I've never even been there. Mom always told me to stay away so nobody would figure out the ring's location. There it is now. The northern fortress.
For an abandoned fortress, it's awfully noisy.
Wait a sec. The corrupted! They've gotten in!
Let's go. We can't let them get the ring. Oh no!
Yeah, this place is swarming. Guess it is a little haunted, huh? Hang on. Divine One, look! There's someone here!
They have us well and truly surrounded. Again. Still, safer inside than out in the open. Thank you, Ring.
I was telling you to hide, not come looking for me.
How could I stay away? A talking ring! You really set off those creatures as well. I take it you're a princess, trapped in this unusual form by a wicked curse. Let me out.
Actually, I'm...
No need to persuade me, Your Highness. I'm not one to doubt an unusual story. Oh, spirit of the cards, cast your light upon the path before us.
You're a fortune teller, What are your cards saying to you?
Le Dragon. It means help may come from an unexpected source. I suppose we'll just have to hold off the beasts until it arrives.
No better place to practice dancing than a spooky abandoned fortress, right? Chapter 15, like Chapter 6, is one I remember for its new friends and not the map itself. This isn't the Northern Fortress map, it's the Seadall and Corrin map. Before I can go into detail about them, we have a rescue operation to effect. Seadall's in danger, and in the worst case scenario, he can even die on turn 2 enemy phase. Good thing we have Byleth. His goddess dance isn't required to guarantee Seadall's survival, but as his first turn in the main campaign, it certainly feels intentional that Seadall's in much more danger than Jade. After Alear recruits Seadall and Corrin, the map changes objective. We must make our way through the fortress, each new room hidden until we open the door. Fittingly, the last map with that mechanic is in Fate's Revelation. Corrin will find it familiar. Corrin's primary sync skill is Dragon Vein, like Camilla but with a different set of veins. To make sure you appreciate this new tool, the map features the deadliest terrain in Engage, Miasma. Enemies in Miasma take 20 less damage, and allies in it take 20 more. That's where Corrin comes in. Seadall's Dragon Vein spawns lots of ice, akin to Micaiah Obstruct, and clears that Miasma. The close quarters also make Seadall himself more effective. As often, they weren't subtle about building the map to showcase its new recruits. After the initial rush to Seadall, the map imposes a glacial pace. Everyone's in a single narrow hallway, so unlike the past few maps, it's hard to fan out and show off a big team. The approach suggested by the map is to first clear Miasma, then bait enemies, then clean up, repeating as many times as it takes to reach the end and escape with Seadall. I remember a no DLC run where I forgot to equip Byleth here, and playing this map with 4 emblems felt surprisingly close to playing it with the 10 we'll have here. I get the sense that, like in Chapter 13, this map's intended to be a safe space to explore new mechanics. I've had plenty of practice. My concern is making the map interesting. The solution lies in a few side objectives I'll be pursuing. We'll have plenty of time to talk about that while the map's playing out. There's a few things to note about my team. Alear's taking Camilla from Anna, which will help a lot on a map built around terrain. She inherited Mentorship because I don't really need that skill slot for anything right now, and she has a rare opportunity to actually fight instead of just applying Divinely Inspiring I want to make the most of. Anna's enemy phase prowess isn't that important here, so without Camilla she'll take a break. The map's also quite bad for Citrine, given the lack of flyers and Ashes Storm being unable to target enemies shrouded in darkness, so that's my other unit sitting out. Ivy will take Lynn in her stead. Let's tango.
That guy's not here to steal the ring. I think he's trying to protect it.
He's clearly no friend of the corrupted. Let's give him a hand. It looks like he could use one.
We're starting a bit out of the action, so movement will be essential. Summon Hero can act as an extension of our normal range, but we need a relatively good one here. I'm just resetting for this.
Emblem, engage!
I wonder what hero will arrive.
A hero with the cavalry bonus works excellently. He'll damage one of the fighters. Many of the dragon veins are best for hampering enemy movement. Alear can use the vines from armor synergy, giving break immunity to gain space for my other units. She'll be in range of only one axe fighter. Jean's able to get a kill with the longbow while activating Canter.
I need to be more diligent. Understood.
Marin can fly past the pillar and take out another fighter with no attune. With her new Clear the Way, Marin can help other units pass obstacles like this one in the future. I think this skill is seriously underrated. Sure, if you're spamming flyers it's irrelevant, but having an option for terrain impediments makes the non-flying classes much more appealing. Everyone else chills. Kagetsu engages because he wants to lose the Draconic form restriction turn 4. With Alear's help, we're able to set up a neat enemy phase. Lapis the physical tank baits the mage, and Marin the resistance tank attracts everyone else. Single unit enemy phases are easier to execute, but this way Marin can use no attune over a tomahawk or hand axe. Getting doubled or taking effective damage is normally problematic, so most opportunities for this sort of funneling come from magic versus physical damage. Of course it also works here because the enemies are relatively weak. Enjoy Seadall's moves, there probably won't be many opportunities.
I won't let this go to my head.
You were a worthy opponent.
Relax, Seadall, the cavalry has arrived. Chloe can now take out the first axe fighter, with this skill guaranteed because of her summons work. The major downside of Fleet Scalf is its poor hit. The Flame Lance provides a more accurate finishing blow.
Here! I'm sorry.
Time to meet our new recruits.
You there. Are you hurt?
Who are you?
Don't worry, I'm not your enemy. I'm the Divine Dragon.
The Divine Dragon, you say? What do you know? My cards spoke true. Unexpected source indeed. Thank you. I am Seadall, a traveling dancer. I was out there rehearsing when those creatures appeared. The talking ring called me to safety.
A talking ring, hmm?
Yes. I believe it's a young princess who fell victim to some sort of curse. Isn't that awful?
Not a curse, exactly.
You know her story, then? Tell me, who is this mysterious ring woman?
Hand it to me, and we'll find out together.
All right.
Bare your fangs! Emblem of Fates!
I am Emblem Corrin. I'll fight with all I have. Thank you for finding me. I'll help ensure the path you decide to walk is the right one.
Thank you, Emblem Corrin. I'm sorry I kept you waiting for so long.
An emblem? Really? One of the godlike figures of legend.
Seadall, would you fight by Corrin's side? We could use your help getting out of here.
It would be my pleasure. This world, wonders upon wonders.
Huh? Did those doors just... We won't be able to escape the way we came in. Let's try that path over there.
Talking doesn't end your turn, so Alear's able to finish off the other axe fighter. Importantly, this lets her canter closer to the new front line. I've been waiting for this. Say hello to Seadall, the dancer of Engage. For the uninitiated, he can dance to let an adjacent ally act again, like Veronica's contract, but without the movement restriction and without having to engage. Dancers are totally different from your other units, so there's a wide spectrum of opinions about them. I should be extra clear where I stand. Dancer is the best personal class in the game, and it is not close. You could give Seadall Vander's data, and he'd still be arguably the best unit in the game. I spent a lot of time deliberating on who to use in this series, and precisely 0 seconds of that was debating Seadall's inclusion. He will dance on basically every turn on basically every map for the rest of the series, and he does that on basically every run of mine. Some people liken dancers to a second copy of your best unit. Seadall can trade his actions for your MVPs. That's overly reductive. Seadall can't be a second copy of your best units on enemy phase, which is when your best units really distinguish themselves. When you consider what dancers do that your best unit can't, however, I think it's roughly correct in terms of his performance. For every spot I'd rather have a second enemy phase unit, there's more or less a spot where I'd rather have one unit move twice than 2 good units move once, and so Seadall's easily in the running for the game's best unit. Seadall's so good that he impacts paralog routing. You may want to delay a few until chapter 15 because of how much Seadall and Corrin help. Delaying paralogs for him also helps him unlock what I consider the best personal class skill in the game, Special Dance. It gives +3 dex, speed, luck to the danced unit. 1 point of speed, never mind 3, can mean the difference between doubling and one-rounding a whole group of enemies and getting surrounded. Seadall would be worth deploying on many maps purely for that stat buff alone. I often find that for the units who need that speed on enemy phase, the ones trying to hit benchmarks to fight many enemies at once, the dex and luck matter a lot too. Unless Alear is using Bondage Shield, it's often tough to benefit from Divinely Inspiring on enemy phase. It's much easier to dance for a unit and then send them deep into enemy lines, now faster and more reliable. I usually give Seadall every standard arena training from his join time until he gets Special Dance, unless I'm topping off a unit before a class change. If you're not playing with arbitrary turn count objectives, grinding up his XP by dancing over and over lets him unlock that quickly. He starts at a lower level than Zelkov, so his XP gains from combat are respectable, but I normally don't think that's worth it, given Seadall has his own personal pool of experience. In Engage, Seadall's even better than the average Fire Emblem dancer. In a game built around a limited time-only set of amazing Engage skills and weapons, dancing lets you double up on the benefits of those emblem rings. Another turn and extra movement with Lynn's Mula Gear or Corrin's Dreadful Aura is a lot better than your average action. You can even dance, Goddess Dance, and then dance again on the same turn for some brutally effective boss rushes. He also gets the shielding art for somewhat reasonable bulk. I wish my muscles could block sword strikes, let me tell you. You still don't want him taking hits, but leaving a single enemy alive isn't always fatal. Seadall's an excellent iteration of the best archetype in Fire Emblem. Dancer is a Chi Adept class. Once in a blue moon, on a team with no other Chi Adepts, Chain Guard is a better use of its turn than dancing. If you do that more than, let's say, 5 times in a playthrough, you should really consider having a different unit be a Chi Adept, but it's a menu option the game lets you pick. I won't discuss any reclasses. Dancing is both powerful and fun, and if you're giving that up, you have different goals in mind than I've ever had playing Engage, so I truly wouldn't know what to tell you. Seadall's stats aren't good for combat. You're not even getting an average unit in return for giving up arguably your best. I'll note that I'd probably take his stats over Bunet's in Great Knight, but that's more a tragic indictment of Bunet than it is a recommendation to reclass Seadall. Because Dancer is a special class like Thief, he's quote-unquote trapped in Dancer until level 21. Biggest air quotes of my life. So it's not even particularly easy to reclass him. If you're a big Seadall fan and want him to show off his moves, Dancer can use the Flashing Fist art. I'd recommend setting him up with Erica in a damage stack, not a reclass. Like Hortensia, Seadall has quite different skill options than your other units. Cantor is virtually mandatory as long as he isn't using Sigurd. He can inherit quality time from Corrin, letting him heal while dancing. His personal ability also gives minor healing, so it feels like a natural choice. I'll be honest, I normally find quality time hurts more than it helps, but that's a skill issue. With proper planning, it's a good pick. Lost and Found isn't the worst option. Geosphere is neat if you have the DLC and he's not using Tiki. I'll take a second to shout out Mentorship, which I've come around to seeing as a pretty firm recommendation for him. Dance XP is more or less constant, so you don't have the usual problem where boosted XP slashes future XP gain. Mentorship works out to getting special dance around 10 turns earlier, which feels pretty good for 250 SP and 400 bond fragments. And we're also making it easier to feed training projects or hit important XP benchmarks if you need to. After you get special dance, Seadall no longer needs XP, so at that point you probably want to replace it. For most units, emblem pairings are a big deal, but Seadall's an odd duck there. The floor for his turn is so good that a lot of emblems feel like a waste of his talents. Even on his join map, constructed around Corrin, it's still hard to find situations he'd rather use her than dance. His most reasonable options are Sigurd and Camilla thanks to their passive movement bonuses. He can dance in Tiki's draconic form, so she's interesting, but that's honestly more to save Tiki from the bench than a great synergy. Divine Blessing is potentially better than a dance, which is neat. Roy's another option for bulk. If you're not using Roy, I suppose it's better than nothing, but why are you not using Roy? Seadall doesn't care much about emblems, and your other units do, so it's hard to see any emblem on Seadall unless you'd otherwise be benching one. The Hero's Bond Ring giving Spur attack that is now free and guaranteed is plenty good for him. Same with Fortify Defense. Seadall is fantastic. He's never anything less than a joy to use, and one of the most valuable team members from the instant he joins until the final boss. I'm not sure what the Venn diagram of male dancers and Fire Emblem fans look like, but I hope they're happy with an excellent representative. Corrin is a lot like Fates itself. There's a lot of depth if you look for it, but it's easy to write her off. Her sync bonuses are HP, magic, and resistance. I'd think of that stat line as leaning towards mixed support. 15 HP on a frailer mage won't let them enemy phase like Ike, but it will let them survive single rounds of combat and fearlessly move around the map. It's a fairly generalist bonus lots of units like, so to figure out her deal, we'll have to look at her skills. I consider Corrin's Engage skill, Dreadful Aura, one of the most underrated skills in the game. Anyone the Corrin user attacks, along with their neighbors, are frozen in place for a turn. I'd pitch this as a way of letting even an uninvested unit handle half a dozen foes in a single action. It's most useful in the very hardest turns, fighting badly outnumbered, where borrowing future actions is worth it. I value that a lot more than skills that help clean up scrubs. Torrential Roar is a physical engage attack that hits 3 squares in a line, spawning water tiles that reduce a void in its wake. It uses a fixed 20 might dragon attack, so it's almost never a clean one-shot, but combined with Dreadful Aura, it can freeze a ton of units in place without letting them hit you back. Maybe it's not a great sign that it's about as good as Assault Troop, available from Chapter 2 and 3 houses, but Engage's tighter map design and lack of alternatives make it quite useful nonetheless. Corrin also has a hidden gem in her sync skills, Draconic Hex, applying -4 to all basic stats on any enemy the Corrin user attacks. In Fates, on a fantastic unit often simply killing enemies instead of weakening them, Draconic Hex falls under the radar. In Engage, it lets even total scrubs lower the benchmarks you need against a boss by 4 across the board. Fighting Lyn last video, we saw just how evasive and finicky bosses can be. Corrin's our best solution for those problems going forward. She has a few other sync skills worth mentioning. Quality Time heals neighbors for a small amount of HP after an action. It has a niche on support units who don't need a combat skill. For me, this messes up Wrath or Reprisal setups about as often as it helps, but it can be a valuable source of chip healing. Pair Up makes a unit immune to chain attacks. It counterintuitively functions mostly as a support skill. Your best units, the ones normally in the most danger from being chipped down, prefer to inherit combat skills and kill incoming backup units. Ghosts can't chain attack. Pair-ups instead mostly seen on units trying to simply keep foes occupied. Corrin ends up playing a lot like Byleth. Unless you really need the magic, she is rarely on your best unit, but whoever gets her ring needs to be near the front lines to get value from her toolkit. To see what that looks like in practice, it's worth now going through her primary sync skill, Dragon Vein, in more detail. Like Camilla, it has different effects for every battle style. Dragons get their pick of Vein. That makes Dragon Corrin one of the highest skill ceiling builds in the game. In lieu of using 100% of your brain, often you'll end up simply using one of the good veins over and over again. Dragons also get an extra space of Torrential Roar, so it ends up being one of the strongest dragon synergies in the game. A lot of flexibility, access to your favorite of the veins I'm about to discuss, and crowd control. Backups spawn pillars increasing bulk. Like with Byleth, backups are in theory a natural pairing for a frontline support emblem, but in practice they're an awkward fit. I'd keep the boost in mind if you need it, but I've almost never seen this as a core part of a team. The covert bonus is a lot better. It spawns smoke, giving the covert unit 60 avoid, enabling fairly free dodge tanking. Thieves like Yunaka will have anemic damage, but they'll be able to get in the way of enemies and run interference. Against bosses, you can apply Draconic Hex and Poison simultaneously, which feels great. On maddening, because enemies refuse to attack at 0 hit, it doesn't necessarily feel like the easiest way to approach maps, but I think the pendulum swung too far and left this underrated. Invincibility is good, actually, even if it's situational. Flying units spawn healing tiles, which is easy to use but has a low ceiling. In exchange, flying Dreadful Aura enables some wild stuff. There are a lot of places you need flight to find the right position for Corrin's effects, so even if you never click the vein, there's a lot to like here. Armored units give vines that grant break immunity. I would be remiss not to mention one of the most audacious bits of home cooking I've ever seen in Engage. Take the right unit with sky-high defense and they can become a support unit enemies ignore, enabling an offensive juggernaut to dominate mixed groups with a physical weapon normally susceptible to breaks. Probably not the easiest way to play, but can Warrior Kagetsu make a unit immune to breaks? I didn't think so. Cavalry spawn the water we've seen from Camilla, decreasing avoid and impeding movement, but instead of the surrounding tiles, it's a checkerboard. This is occasionally useful for debuffing evasive foes, but I see it primarily as for impeding enemies or clearing terrain. Unlike Torrential Roar, this doesn't apply Draconic Hex. Cavalry units also use Dreadful Aura well, so units like Fagato have good synergy with Corrin. Seadall, as a Chi Adept, spawns ice like Obstruct, but 6 tiles at once. This does impede enemies, but I find it rather cumbersome to work with. Enemy AI around Obstruct is complicated, so it's often hard to predict how this plays out, and there aren't many Chi Adept builds that make sense with the rest of Corrin's kit. Last, we have the famous Flame Vein for mystical units. This sets flames that drastically impede movement and deal 10 damage, like what we've seen from Flame Gambit and Blazing Lion, in front of the user. Many grounded assaults grind to a screeching halt facing these flames, and it often does what Dreadful Aura would without the engage meter restriction. I'll admit to being lower on this than most. It's a bit too clever and patient for my normal Leroy Jenkins approach. I can't deny it's a very effective tactic. Corrin's also a natural fit for Sages and VDOM in the way Byleth was, so regardless of how much you value the vein itself, Corrin works well with mystical units. Corrin has a lot of qualitative variation depending on style, both battle style and play style. I think my own journey with Corrin mirrors a lot of players. My first hard mode run had Yunaka with Corrin, as was the talk of the town, and she felt game-breakingly good. On Maddening, even though I think my wiser present self would be more resourceful, it was impossible not to look at Yunaka Corrin as merely a pale imitation of her hard mode self, and I wasn't impressed. That led to a few runs with different magic users, treating Corrin primarily as a magic buff who could then debuff bosses. As I got better, I found her crowd control less important, just kill everyone. That works, but it's also limiting in its own way. What really opened my horizons was Corrin with Ivy, and I'm hoping to showcase that pairing in this series. Once I found a few lines with Dreadful Aura that got me out of sticky situations, I started seeing a lot of opportunities for flashy player phase blitzes where I would have previously held back and relied on tools like Bondage Shield. If you find Engage stressful due to how unrelenting foes can be, Corrin's an invaluable lifeline. Every turn, a Dragon Vein can make this turn's problem next turn's problem, giving you breathing room to maneuver. Some units can use Corrin's defensive boosts to occupy large groups of enemies, so your main group can beat the map unfettered by waves of reinforcements, even if on Maddening that's rarely a win condition on its own. Corrin's ceiling exceeds even that. When everything lines up, an engaged Corrin user can feel just as game-breaking as Byleth or Lucina, turning enemy density to your advantage and enabling lines so audacious it takes some practice to see them. I appreciate any emblem with that high of a skill ceiling, and I hope in this series we'll see the full gamut of what Corrin brings to the battlefield.
I was in such a rush earlier. I didn't notice the miasma all over the place.
The creatures must have brought it with them. Certainly wasn't here before.
The map encourages a specific rhythm. Use Corrin's Dragon Vein, bait units, clean up, repeat. We won't do this much. Seadall has other responsibilities, and we have Corrin's big sister. But they really did go out of their way to make this first one convenient.
Divine One, as a dancer, I can raise your allies' spirits with my graceful movements. Please, call upon my abilities as you see fit.
Anyone who stays behind to clean up risks getting left in the dust. Jean will go for a fighting retreat to keep pace. He takes out the first foe with a killer bow, and then Marin can equip Revanche on him for enemy phase. Lapis continues to use this turn for inventory management by taking no attune. Marin's done with it. Kagetsu uses Divine Blessing for XP. He gets run through for his trouble. In theory, this helps shore up the dismal mobility of Swordmaster, but in practice it's situational at best. I'll see what I can do with it.
I love you all! Thanks a ton!
I need to be more diligent.
We're definitely not waiting a turn to bait these enemies. As so often with Goddess Dance, a more direct approach works well. Ivy doesn't need help because she has flight and 1-2 range. She can reach the closest foe. Camilla's most interesting vein is the Chi Adept Frost vein because it's a rare way to help other units move around. Lapis, Chloe, and Amber arrange in a cross formation we'll get used to, and Saline Goddess Dances. With Cantor, she can make use of Alear's vein, which helps mitigate the problem of your dancer getting left behind.
Please grant me your strength. Allow me to demonstrate.
As much as I love me some Flame Lance gaming, Cleed's Scalp will take this kill more reliably because it doesn't need reprisal.
Simple enough.
Alear can take out the mage with a steel sword. I don't know if it's more embarrassing to be one-rounded by under-level Dragon Alear without any damage boost, or to need a specific weapon for an unpromoted mage.
I had to stop you.
Lapis and Amber take out the next mages without breaking a sweat.
Who's next? Me first.
Just like a hero.
Time for our first Seadall dance, very exciting. It lets Amber break down the next door. Not the craziest maneuver, but it's important. We don't really need to see this animation every time, but let's all acknowledge the man has moves. Amber and Seadall will make a great team this map. Their support conversation is a must-watch.
with pride.
The stairs spawn multiple sets of reinforcements. Weaker lance fighters to introduce the idea appear after you enter combat with the enemies from this room, and then there's 2 more sets later. Reinforcements like these can't be blocked, but you can move their spawn point. Here, that's almost always a downside. If you're unlucky, you'll move the right one onto the stairs, so we have to be careful where we put the B team. Normally, I just take these guys on and regroup for a turn, but this series will diverge from my casual play. I'm having an entire squad stay behind to handle reinforcements, so we'll be fighting through the rest of the map with fewer units than usual. That gives them a little extra time, so we can afford to optimize training. Jean wants both of these kills, but before then, Kagetsu can recharge his meter with 11 sword, and the units with support actions can use them for bond rank. Amber takes out the first enemy without any issue thanks to momentum. The Flame Vein is more popular in Corrin because it's directional, but even Camilla's version is useful for chipping enemies and holding them back. Here it also gets rid of miasma and heals Alear through groundswell.
Here until the end.
Chloe contracts Seadall to show the interaction. Seadall can act again, but he can't dance. Unfortunately, this is not one simple trick to farm bond rank. Saline can steal kills if she dodges the lance, so I've unequipped her. The Killing Edge Swordmaster has a ridiculous 29 speed with a whirring crit chance. It's not easy to outspeed these foes. My Kagetsu doesn't even manage it with Tiki's +5 speed. I've really come around on these enemies as instead a job for slower bulky units. With allied defense, Lapis is so bulky the Swordmaster doesn't even do damage, but you could instead have him crit for 3 damage and take a big chunk back, so the cleanup is simple.
I'm sorry.
Chloe relies on Veronica's weapons for a lot of her damage, but against these mages all you need is a pulse. Unless you're Alear, then you need specifically the steel sword. On player phase, brave weapons make it easier to one-round these fast enemies. Smash weapons work too, but they let the enemy hit you first, so they're more for enemy phase. Brave weapons also double boost like Divinely Inspiring, although unfortunately momentum just gets its normal value. Ivy and Lapis team up for the last kill, although the way things work out, it would have been simple to have one of them help with the Swordmaster instead.
Here! For Alucia!
Alear can use her new toy Camilla's axe against the mages, where it shines. The Water Vein heals Alear, decreases enemy avoid, and hampers their movement. Amber gets some chip against the sword fighter over the wall. Hypothetically, if Alear had missed a 91 against the axe fighter when recruiting Seadall, that kill would have happened on enemy phase, meaning she wouldn't have Camilla's axe right now. She could use a steel sword instead with some healing thrown in, but I actually need the sword fighter in the back to go for Alear and not a different unit, which only does because she has an axe equipped. It would really be a shame if, after too many failed recordings, that tanked a run, right? Oh.
I know just when to strike! I have to keep everyone safe.
If I can, I shall.
I believe enemies will prefer not to move as a tiebreaker. This means the lower mage won't move, pinning the other one in and letting Alear enemy phase a mage with a one-range weapon.
Dream well.
The Flamelance fighter attacks Jean, feeding him the last bit of XP needed from Merciless. It helps most against the bulkiest non-boss enemies, particularly worms we'll start to see next chapter. I don't plan on having it available for any of those guys, but you might be putting together why I've been so careful to feed Jean kills this map. Sailing's damage gives her a chance to use favorite food. Some maps are more conducive to Byleth, others Lucina, so I find it helpful to have both of their users able to recharge anywhere on a map. After Chloe hits a 65, I really could have routed in a more reliable method for, and Alear takes out a mage with Camilla's axe again. I finally get to show one of my favorite tactical motifs.
Here! I had to stop you.
Amber needs maximum momentum to one-round the sword fighter without Alear, but he's short. We can use Obstruct to manufacture that extra distance, grabbing this KO cleanly.
That settles it.
The penultimate room has a much larger group of enemies. We'll soften them up with Great Ether, which clears the miasma around the user.
Emblem, engage!
We've now entered the penultimate room, which triggers the next wave of reinforcements. Entering the corridor south of Seadall also triggers them. A funny gimmick that I ended up routing out is that you can enter that corridor and bait a longbow attack, which activates the room Amber's in and really defangs that group by having them rush into range. Unfortunately, there's some enemy movement randomness here and some annoying RNG to figure out. Luckily, we're close enough to the end that I can work out the entire sequence, so it's smooth sailing once I rewind back. After Amber goes boom, we face two waves of the least subtle don't fight me reinforcements we've seen yet. They have far higher stats than normal enemies of their level, so they give little experience. A way to show off against tough enemies without actually getting anything but style points? Don't mind if I do. Kagetsu can set up Jean for a massive merciless hit, KOing through capped defense.
I'll go first.
Hurry!
You won't suffer long. I have to keep.
You know what's bad when my Jean has less than 70 hit? Marin gets a little chip shot in, and then Saline refreshes all of them.
Our time has come.
Emblem, engage! Let the lesson begin.
Kagetsu chips as before, showing off how Blinding Flash can be useful against the toughest of the tough. This time, however, it's Marin's turn to show off. Raging Storm and Houses Unite Plus both let the user move again, so Marin's success against his warrior is nearly guaranteed. She gets 3 attacks.
I have it!
I will strike you down.
I think it would have been cooler to milk the Limelight Marin, but a crit is cool too. On the other side, Amber and Lapis take out 2 foes to make way. Ideally, they wouldn't form a line formation to cut us off, but we can work with this.
That settles it.
I won't let this go to my head.
The Smoke Vein debuffs enemies, which is a lot better than the Miasma it's replacing. Seadall has Corrin, so now Dark Inferno becomes Dark Inferno Plus. That fills in the outside ring, and the Dragon Synergy fills in the area around Alear. The result is a Dark Inferno Plus that covers an entire 5x5 square. With Camilla's axe, his one-shots the mages and does respectable damage to everyone else. A Dark Inferno that actually killed something cost me a lot of bond fragments, so enjoy it.
All right, Corrin? Camilla!
Hurry up and die.
The flames hamper enemy movement to help us protect our frailer units. Alear will survive with a single dodge.
Say the word.
Since we've reached the part of the game with emblems more familiar to me, it's a good time to discuss how layered the emblems' references to series history are. Some are simple meta-narrative connections. Marth's the first lord, so of course he's the first emblem. Lucina copies Marth's mid-chapter entrance, offering hope when the future seems bleak. That's Lucina in a nutshell. Awakening's widely credited with saving the franchise, in no small part due to Lucina's enduring popularity, so it's only fitting Lucina saves us in this game too. Lucina's popularity earned 2nd place in the first ever Choose Your Legends poll for Fire Emblem Heroes. The winner? Lyn, of course. No wonder she's also there when you need cheering up. You've got 3rd place? Ike.
I had to stop you.
The second round of reinforcements is slower, enough so that John can double them for a more reliable and flashier killer bow kill. He should have engaged last turn for other half's chain attack, but when I realized that, I already knew this RNG sequence worked. Anyway, there's a lot of subtler emblem references I missed for a long time. I don't know how common this knowledge is, so forgive anything that blew my mind you find obvious, and any mistakes from the older games I don't know well. Some lords like Sigurd start their game in power, and engage echoes that. Sigurd's ring stayed in Lythis Castle until we picked him up, mirroring how he starts his game leading a beleaguered force. A developer interview indicates Sigurd's the second emblem, subverting the order of the games, specifically so he fits the kind of paternal figure Alear wants after Chapter 3, and he has that common ground. Celica also stays firmly in Fiorene's possession until she joins our team, echoing her start. Micaiah's not in order. I figure they wanted a support emblem in there somewhere, but that didn't stop them from putting her in what's basically a dead ringer for the place her famous intro cutscene takes place. She starts with Soth in her game, so it's only fitting Engage's first thief, Yunaka, is her initial partner. Micaiah's not royalty, so her ring's the first one disconnected from royalty in Engage. Roy's our next royal lord, so he's the guy we find safe and sound in Brodia Castle. Leaves royalty, but he starts in hiding. That's reflected in his ring being stolen from Lythis Castle. Lyn, Lucina, and Ike come next to those meta-narrative reasons, but they also work from this perspective. We don't meet them in a castle because they don't start their games in one. Ike's a mercenary who starts his game as a nobody, so we find him camping instead of at some castle. Byleth has, let's say, a complicated relationship to the power structures in his game. He was born at Garrigmach, but only returns at the start of 3 Houses. That lines up with how he joins us at Solm Castle, only just arriving with Hortensia. Hortensia is a fitting partner given she's a princess going to school. Corrin's royalty but starts fates keeping a low profile, stuck in a spooky fortress much like the one we're in now. Like Soth with Yunaka, it makes sense Corrin would join with a dancer given how important Azura is in Fates. The Revelation map with room-based Fog of War only has 3 units, and she's one of them. Our last base game emblem, Erica and Ephraim, are royals who flee a coup at the start of their game. They're the last ring stolen from Lythos Castle, and we'll meet them in the field. Many flaws people find in Engage stem from the fundamental scope creep at the heart of its premise, a fitting tribute to 30 years of strategy gaming. Few games of any kind are as burdened by a near-endless checklist of references and callbacks. Despite how those demands strain Engage's own pace and world-building, I'm personally impressed by just how much they managed to stuff in. Most of all, how the emblems tie the story, gameplay, and history of Fire Emblem and Engage together.
What fun! I know just which! I have to keep everyone safe.
Alright, where were we? This last group is the toughest by far, and that makes it a perfect time for the old bondage shield. They aren't ready for the Chloe Royal Knight sweep. For being invincible, she'll take a lot of damage, so she does need to be at full HP. Alear can heal her with the sucker vein she used, although in this version she doesn't need the help. This turn, Alear uses the stone vein to buff our bulk for this enemy phase. This also fulfills my side mission of using every dragon vein in this clear. They aren't all winners, but I do think there's a lot of room left in the meta to optimize them.
All right.
Ivy takes out the foes guarding the first chest. Because Lapis and Amber were busy setting out Dark Inferno, Ivy needs to take them both out now, meaning she has to dodge. This last group shows how bimodal Soulm enemies are. Chloe's getting doubled by the Swordmaster, would explode against the warrior if not for Lapis, and clears up the unpromoted scrubs without any difficulty.
Over here! Simple enough. I'm sorry. Who's next? Simple enough.
The last turn is mostly training and picking up the chests.
Emblem, engage! I love you all!
Health is everything.
Saline and Marin split off from their team to get Marin to the Talisman chest. We won't take a turn to deal with the snipers, so none of my main squad can reach it.
I won't let this go to my head. Yeah.
Funnily enough, we'll have finished this map without engaging Lyn or Corrin. Most of Corrin's jobs got replaced by her big sister, and Ivy's Astrostorm is a pale imitation of Citrine's. I'm sure things will be different next map. That's Chapter 16, our beach episode. See you then. Bye, papaya.
Our paths diverge for a moment. Divine One, Emblem Corrin. Thank you.
All right, we're safe.
Hang on. Someone's at the entrance.
Don't tell me. More of the corrupted?
Is everyone okay? I saw all those monsters coming in and got worried.
Veil!
Oh my! We meet again. Did you defeat the monsters?
Yes, we did. Every last one.
I'm glad. How have you been? I was surprised to see you out in that blizzard. I hope you found the cathedral.
Whatever game you're playing, stop it.
Huh? Are you mad about something?
Don't act like you forgot. I can see through your lies now.
Lies? What do you mean? I promise you, I'm not...
Not a step closer! You stay where you are, Veil Princess.
How did you know?
Just looking at you, I feel again the shame of losing father.
You took my country from me. My father. What more do you want?
The people you killed, they had families. But you don't care, do you? All that pain, you don't even give it a second thought.
Wait a moment. I killed people? Who?
Drop the act. You know what you did. How dare you show your face here? You murdered my mother and stole the rings.
I didn't. Please believe me.
Believe you? Like I believed we were friends? I won't make that mistake again.
We've got to do something.
Let her go. It's probably a trap.
You're right.
Divine One? Are you alright?
I'm fine. But the next time I see Veil, I swear.
I killed people. Stole rings? Why would I do that? I don't understand.
Lady Veil, I finally caught up with you.
Oh, Chris. It's you.
You're a hard girl to find. Why'd you disappear? Had me all freaked out.
Papa told you to drag me back home, right?
Told me to... Huh? Oh, I see what's going on here. You're the other one.
I'm not going back. No matter what you say. Papa will just make me do something cruel. When he awoke, I thought we could finally spend time together. But no. Always telling me to kill the Divine Dragon, or attack so-and-so's castle. Well, I don't want to. I'm not an evil person. Despite what all those people said, even the Divine Dragon was angry with me. And I thought we were friends.
The Divine Dragon said you were friends. Wait, you met the Divine Dragon?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's... complicated. Look, whatever those people told you, it's not true. They were imagining things.
You think so?
Of course. How could you have done something bad and then forgotten it?
Right. Right. I couldn't have. If only I'd said that before, maybe there wouldn't be this awful misunderstanding.
You want to try and speak with them again? Set things straight?
I do. But weren't you going to bring me back?
If this is what you want, I'll help out. Nothing if not loyal, that's me.
All right. Thank you, Gris. It seems I misjudged you.
It's settled then. Let's head to Firene.
Firene? Why there?
'Cause that's where the Divine Dragon is going.
How do you know that?
Come on, we're on a schedule here. Gotta head for the port and set sail. Do you want to patch things up or don't you?
I do. You're right. No time to waste.
This ought to be real interesting.